Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the grey. Today, we are doing another video for our wish listing series, starting to wrap this series up now as we're coming through the last of the factions that need to get done for it. And today, we're looking at the Ghost of the Mortal Realms, the Nighthaunt. This is a wish listing video, so there are no wrong or right answers in this. This is just purely 10 things I personally would like to see for Nighthaunt in the future. But if you have some differing opinions, I'd love to know what those opinions are, and so leave them in the comments down below, please. Also, if there isn't a faction we haven't touched on yet, and you'd like to see that faction, please leave that in the comments down below. Also, be sure to check out the playlist, as we have a playlist for all these videos for all the armies we have done. Almost near the end of it now. But without further ado, let's get cracking into this video, and this is 10 things I'd like to see for Nighthaunt. Number 1, give Glaivers stalkers a purpose. So, Glaivers stalkers are those really cool they were originally thought of as like, oh, maybe these are ghost skaven, but no, they're actually the dead spirits of hunters, and they've got this horse head skull thing mocking them in their former life. Very cool sort of theme to them. I actually really like the models. They're probably some of my favourite Nighthaunt models. However, they just seem a bit lackluster. They have a cool ability in the fact that they can retreat and charge and all that sort of stuff. However, they just do nothing. I feel maybe they need a slight power increase, or maybe they need some points decreases, some abilities to rerolls maybe, or something. They just unfortunately do not do much of anything at all, and the only time I've ever seen them taken is when people are trying to take the battalions that have to include them. I just feel like a slight buff might see this cool unit, especially a unit you get in the starter set, used more on the table. Point number 2, I think this would be a cool universal rule to have for Nighthaunt, and that's the Hex Race rule. So the Hex Race run over stuff and do mortal wounds as they move over things. I think this would be rather cool if Nighthaunt could do this in general. I know this is sort of cutting in and taking Hex Race ability, but maybe you could give Hex Race something else. And this, I think, would be a really cool and unique way to play an army, so that they're not actually having to get in combat, but they're flying over and doing mortal wounds. Maybe they're doing a D3 for every 5 or 10 models in a unit. Maybe different units have different sort of rules, or maybe there's a universal chart for like how many you do. You know, maybe heroes automatically do D6 and units do D3 for every 10 or something like that. I think it'd be a cool rule, and give Nighthaunt a sort of unique way and make them play on the tabletop like they're supposed to. Like, just, yeah, ghost running over people to me seems like something that this army does. They don't seem like this is something they should get into a protracted fight. Point number 3, I like to see Grimgas Reapers go back down in points for Nighthaunt. So I think this is something that needs to happen, really, is that Grimgas Reapers got a points hike because of the ability of what they could do in Legion and Nagash at the time. They were never a problem in Nighthaunt at all, and Nighthaunt got subsequently punished for Grimgas Reapers, even though they probably did nothing wrong with them. I think when units are able to be taken in multiple different allegiances, not necessarily Grand Alliance, but even then that should change. I think points changes should change. I think the points value for Grimgas Reapers in Nighthaunt and Legion and Nagash should be different to represent the abilities that both armies get. And also, in a modern game, Grimgas Reapers and all the things we hated about Grimgas Reapers really are not that big a deal. Point number 4, make the Black Coach a character. Or at the very least, have 2 variations of Black Coach and have one of them as a character. It makes no sense that a Khan Wraith on foot is a character, and the Khan Wraith on top of the Black Coach does not make the Black Coach a character. I mean, the Black Coach also has a vampire inside it as well. This would solve one of Nighthaunt's biggest problems, and that's they have very few heroes that can actually take a beating. Making the Black Coach a hero would certainly give you some very cool options for a general of the army, and also give you a character that actually can take a bit of punishment. Number 5. So the Nighthaunt currently have a rule where they charge, and if they roll a certain number, they're allowed to fight in the charge phase. I think the number 9 could potentially be lowered. I don't think Nighthaunt at the moment pack out enough damage for this to be so high. I don't really think it's an issue if we drop it down to an 8 or even a 7. This is their thing, and like you might even go, it might not make them fight in the charge phase anymore, but may give them always strikes first, for example. Or slightly change up the rule, but I think a lower value and an ability that works more often is probably going to be more well received as a whole for the army. Point number 6. I like to see the Legion of Grief rules and the stuff we got from that, especially Gravesites, ported over to Nighthaunt. I think Nighthaunt Mark II is probably, or at least probably should be, Legion of Grief-esque. We should be getting a lot of the Legion of Grief buffs added into or replacing some of our Nighthaunt abilities. I don't see in many ways how this shouldn't be a thing. We like now have the narrative that this is the army that Lady Alinda leads, so it should be her legion. Point number 7. I was mentioning before and how like the Nighthaunt sort of lack a large sort of survivable hero, and well, maybe the answer to this is we get larger mounts. So we have some mounted variations, or maybe the Knight of Shrouds on something bigger than a steed. Maybe it's a old Abyssal Terror or something like that, and a ghostly variation of it. Or maybe, you know, we go really big and we go Ghost Dragon. I know I say dragon a lot in the videos, but I mean, what's not cool about a dragon? I think this would, once again, solve some of the issues and potentially give the Nighthaunt a really cool unit. And just some cool, you know, another centerpiece that's not a black coach, a big, fighty, cool, destructive centerpiece. Point number 8 that I'd like to make. I'd like to see the Forge World Mongo be made in plastic. The Mongo is a fantastic miniature and at one point was a terror to face across the tabletop. I wouldn't like to see those original days come back, although maybe that original Mongo might not be as big of a deal as we all made it out to be in the current climate of Age of Sigmar. I would like to see a plastic kit though, and there is some really cool narrative behind what a Mongo is. The Mongo is generally the spirit of someone who has turned to cannibalism and then died as a result. And Nagash sort of curses them with this, that they are sobbing in their life, and like the final moments as they realise what they've done of what they've had to do, and just curse them with this unsatiable, unsatisfiable hunger. There's actually a really cool short story, if you can find it, about Prince Mesa by Guy Haley, that talks about a Mongol. It's part of the sort of Nomad Prince story that Guy Haley has written. I believe it's called Hunger Fiend. So if you can find that, have a good read. It tells you a really good story about what an Mongol actually is. Number 9. This is an interesting point, and I'm not sure if this one should happen or not, but in Soul Wars we saw a really cool character, Fear of Storm, who became like a lightning geist sort of trapped in this Nighthaunt chain metal body thing. I don't know whether should we see lightning geists in Nighthaunt. This is one I'm sort of up in the air on, and I've not really got a lot to say, more an idea in the back of my head, but I'd like to know your thoughts on like, would lightning geists maybe be something cool to see in a Nighthaunt army? Would it give you something different to sort of look at? Point number 10, and this one I feel is sort of needed a lot, and that's the ability to do something in the magic phase. Death armies notoriously have a decent magic phase, and Nighthaunt just don't have any ability to sort of compete. They've got very few buffs that can actually go off and help them in the magic phase, or the hero phase rather. You get what I'm trying to say. I think maybe some bonus to cast, maybe a battalion for some wizards or something like that, or even the ability to take Nagash. Now, I do think this is something that maybe should be looked at. If we're able to take Legion of Grief, maybe Nagash should be able to take an inside the Legion of Grief, and so this might cover some of the spell casting issues. But that, anyway, is 10 things I'd like to see for Nighthaunt. I'd like to know what you would like to see for Nighthaunt in the future. And if there's a faction we haven't done so far and you'd like to see that faction, please leave that in the comments down below as well. Don't forget to give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I hope we will see each other all soon and we can get back to playing some games real soon. But for now, Stay safe, everyone. Stay well. Most of all, keep fighting that war against the grey. I'll see you all later.